Um, it refers to the potential for machine learning algorithms to produce biased or unfair outcomes. While bias can arise from various sources, including biased training data, rubbish in, rubbish out, or flawed algorithm design, addressing algorithm bias is crucial to ensure fair and equitable outcomes in various domains, wherever you apply it. For example, in hiring decisions, that's an example that springs to mind because that's where it's most prevalent. Many organizations use automated systems and machine learning algorithms to assist in the hiring process, and they typically analyze applicant data such as resumes and job application responses, all automated process for that to predict the suitability of candidates for specific roles. However, if these algorithms are biased, they may perpetuate or amplify existing biases in the hiring process, leading to unfair outcomes. So they just make it larger, bigger, more, worse. To address algorithm bias in a use case like this, hiring decisions or any algorithmic bias, this is what you need to be looking at. So let's have a look at algorithmic bias in the data set itself. Let me make myself smaller before I show you what's going on there, what you need to be looking at, what the most important questions are that you need to be asking. All right, I'm exploding the algorithm bias label, which means that we now get to see all the areas that you need to focus on when you're dealing with algorithm bias. You need to focus in, let's pick some, bias in social media, bias in advertising, protected attributes, trust in AI, bias mitigation, social consequences, model interpretability, regulatory frameworks, you need to have a look at it, data ethics, algorithmic governance, disparate impact, bias in healthcare, etc. Legal consequences, all the areas that you need to be focusing on when you're dealing with algorithmic bias. Now, these are the areas you need to be focusing on, the green bluish areas. When I open them up, and this is where I'm going with this, first of all, to show you all the areas that you need to be focusing on. Second of all, what's behind this and how do you actually fix that before we jump to the 7 most important questions to ask so you understand what you're looking at. So let's just pick one. Which one looks appealing to me? Oh, this one. Adversarial attacks. Adversarial attacks. I like that one. Let's pick that one. Open that one up. What we see now is a bit of an explanation what it is. Adversarial attacks are methods used to force algorithms to make biased decisions by exploiting underlying algorithms' inherent limitations. So know what the limitations are and then steer it into a way where you'd like it to go, which is not the way that it was intended to go. The question that you can be asking there is, do adversarial attacks related to data quantity used in the training? Are they used in the training? Now, what we see here as well are blue balls, and the blue balls are the people who are responsible, and I can ask these questions to. So they are the roles in relationship to these questions. So, for instance, if I open up this one, see what more comes up here. I get more questions and responsibilities that are related to that person. Let's go back again. Adversarial attacks, where is it? It's down here, it's hitting. I want to undo this one because you're clogging my screen, research coordinator. There you go, unclog. There, so do the attacks related to data quantity, are they used in training? Now, what can we do about that? If I open this up, I get to see green balls, and the green balls will actually give me some ideas on how to deal with this, how to take care of this. Record the history of changes to some quantity, ensure better manage the distribution of increased production with the quantity. Stop identifying the type and quantity, so make sure that you're doing that. So these are areas that you can actually have a look at to make sure that you're figuring out the answer to the question. Let's go this way. Pick another one. Let's go with bias auditing. Bias auditing is the process of reviewing an algorithm to identify and address any potential disparities that reflect or reinforce unfair bias against certain groups. So that's the explanation of this one. We need to take care of that one, make sure we're doing that. We can make sure that this person is responsible and in relationship to bias auditing gets asked the right questions. The questions are: how is the bias introduced in the algorithmic systems? How do we actually do that? Is it done? Have anyone tried to bias or influence the outcome of the data present? And then to make sure that we're looking for the answers related to this, I open up these ones and I get to see eliminate bias from creeping into your yearly cycle. Eliminate bias in your organization that can have a chilling effect on the AI algorithms. So these are the activities that I can do here, and that all has to do with labeling bias and getting data sets in place in the recommendation systems to make sure that the bias is not built in, is filtered out. Other things I can see here are different colors. So we have here the yellow one, and the yellow colors mean that I can, if I really want to focus into systems, really want to focus deep into systems, onto systems, I can click the yellow ball and I get all kinds of questions around systems, if there are any. There are a few more questions around systems. There you go. A few more questions around systems if I want to focus onto that. So that's a different way of approaching this. Main thing is to focus on the main area here, all these areas that you need to be covering when you're dealing with algorithm bias. But it's a lot. There's a lot of data in here. So you've just seen that I've only opened up a few balls, but if I open up more balls, then there's more and more coming up and popping up on my screen on things that I need to be doing, questions I need to be asking of people that are related to these roles and the activities that can be in place when I open up the question balls. So there's a lot of activities here. Forest for the trees type of stuff, which means that we need to focus on the 7 most important questions. Now, how do we do that? How do we focus on the 7 most important questions? Let me get my next piece of code here. So this what I'm doing here now is I'm only showing the 7 most important questions, and all our questions are tagged, are organized based on an algorithmic calculation of how important each question is in relationship to the main topic and relationship to all the other topics. And then by magic, the most important questions come bubbling to the surface because they get the highest priority, and they'll show the most important questions. And those are the little gray numbers we see here. That's the importance of the question, the relevance of the question. So make sure that you're doing that first type of question. Okay, 7, there we go. These are the 7 questions that you need to be asking in your organization to take care of algorithm bias. Let's click here. Let's pick the first one. Is the data free from factors that lead to gender bias in machine learning algorithms? It's related to algorithm bias. And if I open that up, I get to see way more there, way more questions that I can be asking, because that's the main topic, obviously. These are the roles related there. Product manager data, senior product manager, and intelligence learning. Now, questions that the question I need to be asking is the data free from factors that lead to gender bias in machine learning algorithms? Have a look at this one. Have plans for additional enhancements or new future algorithms? Need new tools to understand the performance of your algorithms? Do we need those? Make sure that we've got that. Have the right skill set to tap into new advances in technology as AI, cloud, intelligent algorithms. These are activities, our best ideas that we can look into to make sure that we're answering this question in the right way to make sure we're covering algorithm bias. Yeah? Okay, that's one question. Let's go to the other question. What action has been taken to guard against potential customer detriment, including through accidental unfair bias due to poor data quality or algorithm design? There you go. Data quality or algorithm design. Both ways to which you can have, through which you can have, and attacks obviously is the third one, but that's intentional. Algorithm bias, through that you can get algorithm bias. So you need to get back to being serious about the processes of experience awareness and the action that you need to take. Monitor the effectiveness of the action that you're taking here. Have a system for identifying cause identification and responsibility and corrective action. So make sure that you do data management quite well and algorithm design quite well, and test that as well continuously to make sure that the output that comes out of it is the output that you want. Next question. What potential bias exists in training data and how will it be managed to overcome and avoid it? Monitor, drill this one out. Have additional information on the check your blind spots unconscious bias. So the things you don't know, they are the things that are most worrying. Bias in training data. When you train your data set, what is it that you don't know? What are your blind spots? So spot check continuously to make sure that stuff pops up that's relevant and stuff that's not relevant, you filter it out. You're able to filter it out. Have the governance procedures been documented and tested for potential bias? Do we have that in place? To cover the question, what potential bias exists in training data and how will it be managed or overcome or avoided? Open that up, get to see the explanation here. Bias in training data is when a machine learning algorithm is trained on input data that is not representative of the population, which can result in a biased prediction. So lopsided, basically. Next question. Are there any relevant bias reduction strategies which can be used during the data analysis phase? So bias reduction. Let's open that one up. Bias reduction is a technique used to reduce the differences in the accuracy of an algorithm when applied to different datasets, thereby reducing bias in the algorithm. Great, fantastic. Speaks for itself, bias reduction. All right, are there any relevant bias reduction strategies you can use? Well, you can test for bias in the system and provide individuals prior to implementation to identify bias or lack of impartiality. And these are some areas, and eliminate bias in the data collection and reduce bias in your organization for the input that you're getting there. So have a bias audit to have that in place. People that are addressing this, the senior data ops analytics, senior backend engineer, and engineer awareness modeling analysis. These are, by the way, real people, real job roles, real functions in organizations that are related to algorithmic bias. And if I open this one up, just as an example, now you can see the senior data ops analytics has got other tasks in here that that person needs to fulfill. All these tasks are related to the job role itself and the questions you can be asking that person. So I can look at it from different ways as well. Just look at one job role and then drill down into what is it that that person actually needs to be doing, and how do we fulfill that that action in relationship to the overall main goal. Now, what we have here, we have how do you ensure that broader ethical issues are adequately assessed at the outset, as unfair bias in datasets, algorithmic patterns that may lead to discrimination or social exclusion, even worse. All right, elicit employees' ideas at the outset, have a policy for dealing with data protection issues, get the users to help you design it at the outset from the start, and need new tools, that belongs to this one, to understand the performance of algorithms. There we go. So these are the areas that you need to be covering there. Algorithmic discrimination. Algorithmic discrimination is when algorithms are biased on biased data and thus can lead to the unequal and unfair treatment of people. Most of them are self-explanatory, but it helps to have an explanation here or there as well. These, what we have here are the questions that you need to be asking in your organization to take care of algorithm bias. These are the 7 questions that are of most importance to ask. Most important to ask in your organization. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And these 7 questions, they will help you with a roadmap to make sure that you're taking care of algorithm bias in your organization. So you need to have a look at bias reduction. You need to have a look at algorithmic discrimination, algorithm bias, obviously, and bias in training data, how you train those, the data that you have. These are the questions that you need to be asking in your organization to make sure that you do that. The 7 most important questions, and the job roles, the functions that will be covering that are the blue balls that make sure that that your organization is doing the right thing. At least that's the idea behind it. So these are the main areas that you need to be covering. This is your roadmap. Pretty straightforward, isn't it? Helpful. Make sure that you're doing that. And I'll open these ones up as well. So we have a full idea of what's going on. Bias in training data and algorithm bias. Now we get to see the full roadmap, all the questions related to those areas on screen. Algorithm bias has a lot of questions related to that. I'll zoom over them, pan over them a little bit so you have an idea of what's going on here. See, there's a lot of questions here. And this is the roadmap for algorithm bias. Now, if you want this data, all this data and way more in this data set is available through the link below. You can purchase the full data set, obviously, and all the links and relationships are in those as well. Comes as a comma delimited format, which you can import in any tool that you use, any tool that you would like to use. Also comes with a PDF where all this is neatly organized and easy to understand and learn. Just have a look at the link down below and see if it's something for you. In the meantime, this was algorithm bias and how to fix it, how to control it, how to manage it. Thank you for today. I enjoyed being here, and talk to you again tomorrow.